All right, SML, welcome to the first episode of 2 Minute Drill with Bomber and Dmues. What's going on, Dmues?
What's up, Bomber? I'm excited. First content for me of the cycle, so get it going.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a good one. Just to give everybody who's watching an idea of what we're gonna do, we're gonna go through the whole league, 2 minutes per team, no more than that. If we wrap it up earlier than 2 minutes, fine. But as soon as we hit that 2 minutes, the whistle's gonna blow, and we're gonna move on to the next team. So, are you ready to get this started?
Do it.
All right, so then we'll start in the AFC. We'll start with the AFC North, and Dmues, you're on the clock with the Browns.
Yeah, so Noel off to a 1-0 start. He signed two linebackers out of free agency early on in the cycle, Cash Maluia and Cyril Dean, two speedy guys that you can use her. I mean, that's a team set up for success in a division where he might be able to find success. I think Noel's set up well for the season, well early in the cycle and long term in the cycle. I think those two moves really helped shore up one of the few weaknesses on the Browns roster, which was speed at the linebacker position. So, looking forward to seeing what Noel can do this year in that division.
Yeah, I had the Browns last year, and linebacker was a big concern. You have JOK there, which is nice, but outside of that, I mean, you got a lot of lower rated guys that aren't even really that young, other than Tony Fields. Um, so it's good to see him add linebackers there. He had a win his first week, and I have a feeling he's going to lose in his second game though. So unfortunately, he's going to fall to the Jets here in week two. But I
I don't know
think
how I
I
did
think Noel's
not.
off to a good start.
I did pick the Jets in Survivor. I should have mentioned that as well in my time.
Are you still in Survivor? Because after that Meats loss, I don't know if I don't know if there's many people left.
Yeah, I got you, so don't let me down.
Oh, that's right. It's a week two game. Oh boy, a lot of pressure here because you may win Survivor here in week two. I don't know how many people are left. But yeah, I think Noel's doing a good job. We'll see. We'll see what he does. He doesn't utilize the receivers very much. It's been Njoku and Jimmy Graham, and then throw into the running backs. So um, we'll see how he does as the season goes on. But he's got to use Cooper and get Schwartz developed. Schwartz is still only going to be 21. Um, that's a big one to develop.
I agree with you there.
All right. So it looks like we got that one in just in time. So we're going to move on to the NFC North for this one, and we'll go with the Packers and Meats. And Meats looked good week one, and then he just got beat on a fumble six, and then had a blocked field goal returned for a touchdown like minutes before we started recording. Uh, he didn't put up a lot of points. It's not like he was running away with it. I'm not sure what's going on with the offense there. I like the Diami Brown trade. He's got three really good, really young receivers. Um, the trade I didn't like though, he got rid of Jordan Love, and I don't know that he's got a backup plan. I think that's gonna hurt him, especially if Aaron Rodgers retires after this first season. You're gonna be stuck with I don't know who, maybe a draft pick. He did get Coop's first, I think a first and a second or something like that for not not Coop. I don't remember. Coop gave him a second, I think, for Love. I was
Second,
thinking
yep.
Payne for a second there. That deal. Um, so he didn't really get a pick that he can get a quarterback with. I just don't know if he's going to be able to get that offense going. I would like to see him maybe instead of Diami Brown go after like a better receiver, maybe a superstar receiver already, or if he could have even got Calvin Ridley, who Biz got, which we'll touch on next. But um, I don't know if I like the way he's going with that quarterback room though.
Yeah, I mean, I understand it. You're going to play Rodgers year one, not going to give Jordan Love too much opportunity to put up numbers on the field. So I get wanting to move him. I'm a fan of playing Rodgers until he's gone, just based on the X factors.
Oh yeah.
The receiving core is young, though, which could be why he didn't put up many points, and we'll see how they develop. It's on him.
Yeah, I think the issue just is with most guys, even like I mean, you're talking about Khalil Mack and Aaron Donald. They don't really necessarily. You don't know that they're going to be gone by the cycle. We're pretty sure, and they probably will be gone. Midway through the cycle. Aaron Rodgers has an expiration date of like three seasons at most. So getting rid of your backup plan kind of seems like a mistake. Oh, and that's going to be our time there. All right. So that's going to bring us to the Steelers and Colt.
Yeah, I have a few notes on Colt here. He started the season 1-1. I think he got a win in week one,
Yep.
got lost in week two in a close game. Um, he made a lot of sort of win now moves with the Steelers team early on. He made a lot of signings along the margins. Two that I've noted here: Kyle Long, Tariq Cohen, kind of veteran players. There were a few more mid-level free agents like that he brought in. In the free agent draft, he took Brian Bulaga, shore up the offensive line, which is a weakness on the Colts. Offensive linemen don't regress too bad, so I actually kind of like that for him. It's difficult to dev young linemen, so anytime you can get a solid veteran in, I'm a fan of it. He traded Chase Claypool away, which is something I think you'll see a lot of Steelers owners do that across leagues. They have a lot of receiver depth, so getting something for one of those younger guys helps. He shored up the defense a bit in that trade, getting Jason, and he also got a second round pick from Faz, which I don't expect to be too good of a pick,
Yeah.
but again, an opportunity to add a young player. I don't hate that trade. I would have liked to get more of a proven commodity, but um, see what he's going for. He went for young athleticism and draft capital, and then my stunning move for him was trading for Jimmy G from Dan.
Hmm.
Um, I mentioned the O-line is one of the weaknesses. He brought in Bulaga, but then he traded away an offensive lineman for Jimmy G. And I'm just not sure if that's the direction I would have gone. I think Jimmy G has maybe 87 throw power. The knock on Pickett is his throw power, which I believe is 85. So you're only upgrading 2 points there. And Jimmy G's not an option longer than one season in my mind. I would have just thrown Pickett out there and seen what he could give you, see if maybe you could get a development game or something along the way. You know, those are rare for quarterbacks. So I would have probably gone different direction there. I didn't love that, but I get the move. It kind of fits in, like I said, with the win now moves, bringing in the veterans in free agency, Brian Bulaga and Jimmy G. And again,
That's
this
2 minutes.
division doesn't have a.
All
All right.
right, so that's it for Colt. We're gonna stick to our 2 minutes, and I had some stuff I wanted to say, but we'll move on to Biz. So Biz sitting there 1-1, big win he just had against Meats. Um, he's one that made a lot of moves too. I think he's also out of trades like Colt, and they were kind of all over the place. He went and got Calvin Ridley, which isn't a nice receiver, but he's 27. And then you traded away Darnell Mooney, who, I mean, he would be Calvin Ridley in a couple seasons when your team is probably ready to compete. And then he traded away Roquan Smith. He got Hollywood Brown. Hollywood Brown's nice to bring in, but then you get rid of Roquan Smith. You kill your defense to help out your offense. He moved on from Robert Quinn. I'm just not sure what he's doing or if he's got a plan. And if he does, I'm not seeing it. So I'm interested to see what he does going forward. But obviously played Dan really close in week 1, and then he just beat Meats, albeit on the backs of 2 back-to-back miracles. But at the end of the day, the scoreboard's the only thing that matters, and he comes away on top.
Yeah. Looks like to be a solid player. Could be a player in the NFC North. I agree. I like the Ridley trade overall, getting another weapon for Justin Fields, but it didn't. His other moves made it make less sense because he traded a young receiver in Mooney,
Yeah.
brought in another older one in Hollywood Brown, traded away Roquan Smith because he wasn't ready to win, and as well as Robert Quinn. But again, got older at receiver and gave away his young receiver who was a stud. So,
Yeah, it's
I
like
don't
he's
know. I
playing
don't think
win
I
now
would.
on offense, but play for later on defense, and I don't get it.
Yeah, I would not have moved Roquan Smith. I don't care how much he was asking
Yeah.
for, but it's just
And
me.
that's the thing. He talked about he didn't care about Ridley because he's got so much cap space he can re-sign him, no big deal. Then why'd you move Roquan?
Right.
But that's it for that one. Next up is going to be the Ravens and Fields sitting at 0-2.
Yeah, I'll be shocked if I reach 2 minutes on this one. I don't have a lot down. Field wasn't really too eventful. I don't think he made any moves, none that I wrote down.
No.
The Ravens are a win now team. I get it. The roster's pretty stacked. There's not too many holes where you can fill. He's gonna have fun with Lamar Jackson for the cycle. And I don't know. He's flirted with retirement a few times. I hope that's not true. I know he's busy. The 0-2 start. Hopefully he can bounce back from that. The Ravens, that team's gonna have him in every game just based off of talent on it alone. So I think he could play all these guys close. I would like to see him make a move or two to kind of put the team more in his build or what he's going for. But he decided to stay pat, and we'll see what he does later this season and into the offseason.
Yeah, I was going to say the only move that we've really seen, and I didn't even see it, but I heard the fallout from it, and apparently he picked up some guys when he wasn't supposed to and had to get rid of them. So I guess that's the biggest move the Ravens have made. I played him It was rough. He said it was his first game playing with Madden 23, and it looked every bit of it. Um, and then he went out week 2 and lost again. So he did score, so he improved a little, but I think it's going to be tough if he can't put some time into the game, because this game, I think we'd agree, is pretty different from Madden 22, at least passing more than anything. And Field obviously was his strength, was his passing game, and I think that's going to be a problem for him this year.
Hopefully, he can figure it out down the stretch.
Yep. All right, so we kept it under 2 minutes on that one, and let's move on. Now we got Paulie and the Lions. Didn't really see Paulie make too many moves either, which is kind of surprising given a team that's so young and has a lot of needs and really a pretty decent offense that he maybe could have moved something to pick up a piece or two here or move one of those extra draft picks. But he's kind of standing pat with the Lions. He lost his first game. He's got another one coming up, but it's another one that's going to be tough to burn 2 minutes because he didn't really do anything and didn't really impress in his first week's game. I'll be interested to see what he does. He's got to do something about that quarterback situation. I don't think Jared Goff is going to be the guy. I know he rolled with Danny Dimes all of last cycle, but he complained about it the whole time, how he had the only normal quarterback. So I don't think Goff is the answer. He's got 2 firsts. It's a very winnable division. So I think he should make some moves. He's got a great offense there with Chark, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jamison Williams, Hawkinson, Swift. You just got to find that quarterback.
I have no problem building organically with the Lions. Kind of let everyone develop, let them grow, use your draft capital that you have to kind of build the team, and you'll be set. You'll be really set late in the cycle. I agree. Jared Goff's not a suitable option probably after year 2, so he'll have to figure that out. I think a lot of teams are in that situation, so be interested to see how he navigates it. But yeah, not a lot to talk about, but I'm okay with it. I'm okay with the lack of moves for him.
All right, so now we'll go to the Bengals, and they're sitting at 0-1. They've also made all 3 trades.
Yeah, I have a lot of things here on the Bengals. So Double Rice sitting at 0-1. Free agent draft took Jalen Smith, which I think there are better options there if you wanted like a user athletic linebacker. I don't know if that's what he was going for. But he traded, and the Bengals are very much in win now mode. They're coming off Super Bowl loss in real life, so Madden gave him a lot of roster love. And his moves sort of reflect that. He traded for Stephon Gilmore, gave Prime a first and a fifth for an aging corner, but I think I've heard that Stephon Gilmore doesn't regress too much. So if you can get 3 good years out of Stephon Gilmore to try to take advantage of this roster, I'm okay with that. He traded away his left tackle to RD for a second-round pick. We'll see if O-line matters. Pass rush is kind of brutal in this game. So we'll see how that turns out or how good that pick is. I think that'll sort of determine how I feel about that trade. And then he made a trade with Fig and the Pats. It was Mike Hilton in a 4th for Jacoby Myers in a 4th. I don't know if that's like a positional swap. He got some value because he got this year's 4th for a future 4th. But he was very active. He liked the Gilmore trade just because it's a win now team.
Yeah.
I would expect him to win this division. So hopefully he can bounce back from that 0-1 start. But I'm not going to be too critical on any of these moves. Like I said, there are a couple things I want to see how they play out. But overall, I think he's set up for success right away.
Yeah, I think you're right. I agree. He's set up for success right away. I like the win now move with Gilmore. I just as somebody that messed around with the Bengals a lot before the team draft, I'm wondering what his plan is going forward with them, because you got a lot of guys contracts expiring in the next 2 seasons, and they're all like in that middle, like I don't really want to pay them, but you don't have anything coming in behind them. So I'd be interested to see what he does there with the defense. But that's it for our 2 minutes. All right. So next up is Gouda and the 0-2 Vikings. And I think the biggest thing to talk about him is the moves that never were. I don't know what he's doing in Minnesota, where he's sending first-round picks for Tannehill and Rodney Hudson. Those are like super win now moves, but I don't think this Minnesota team or Gouda have any chance to win now. And he just was attempting to throw away any bit of a future for those guys, and I'm not sure what he's doing, whether maybe he didn't know he was Minnesota or maybe he thought he was a different team. I don't know. But luckily his cap situation saved him and those moves ended up not happening. But outside of that, I haven't really seen him do too much. Apparently he wants a quarterback. He asked about Zach Wilson. And there was no way looking around the league that I was going to move Zach Wilson, especially with the draft class coming in. So you can tell he's looking for a quarterback, and apparently he's really high on offensive line. So I don't think that those are the two
Yeah.
positions he needs right away. I think he needs to work on replacing some of those older defensive players that are going to be a problem soon. But
Yep.
I'm not sure what he's doing.
I'm in full agreement. Replace the old defense. Kirk's a fine stopgap. Good up, man. We ran a league together for like 4 years. That first round pick for Ryan Tannehill trade is a veto every time. What I don't know what you were thinking. He's basically Kirk Cousins with 2 extra
Yeah.
overall points. I don't know. That was mind scratching, head scratching. Luckily, it didn't go through, and I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I don't know if maybe it's kind of the result of that first game he played with Cousins, and maybe it was just so bad that he's like, I have to at all costs replace him with somebody better, and that's the only real option after Baker Mayfield went for nearly nothing. Um, but it like you said, it's the same quarterback with just maybe a little bit better throw power. Not a not a huge upgrade for a first round pick. All right, but that's our 2 minutes. So we're gonna move on to the team that Ryan Tannehill was on, and the Titans.
Yeah. NYT, big fan of his move because he traded for Marcus Davenport from me. Um, he gave up a first for Davenport to give him some help up front. Like Caesar D line from time to time. Davenport, 6'6", 85 speed, I believe, on the D line. So nice attributes. That should help that defense right away. Um, his free agent draft pick was OBJ, so he brought in two difference makers right off
Yeah,
the jump without sending any out. So he made the real life number one seed last year even better on paper. He's in a really tough division, so maybe he's trying to get ahead of the curve, try to beat Prime and Faz and RD to the punch here, try to take advantage early on of a good roster where there are some questions on those other three rosters. So I like the move from that point of view. Started the year with a win. We'll see how it works out. Malik Willis looks like going to take some time, so he's going to have to learn how to play with him. I think that's really the key to if he's going to have success this year or not. So, I mean, you got him a weapon in OBJ, short up the defense a little bit, but it's all on Malik Willis. He'll only go as far as Malik Willis will take him. So hopefully he debs sooner rather than later.
yeah, he's already got Malik Willis on the trade block, which may be a bad sign because you got to imagine that's part of the reason he took this team was they look like they'd be fun to play with Malik Willis, and so far I don't think he's very happy with him. Um, but I do like the move, like you said, trying to get ahead of the curve. Season one's a wild season. Everybody's kind of feeling out the game, feeling out each other, and you can have guys sneak in there and win one. And I think this is, trading for Davenport, giving up that first. I think that was him trying to win one early. And I mean, Davenport, and we'll get into this because you're next, but I think that was a good move for him anyway because I think that's a guy you can develop the whole cycle long. All right, so that's it for the Titans. Now we're going to move on to your team in the Saints, and kind of along similar lines. I actually didn't initially like the move of getting rid of Davenport for just what I said. I think he's a cycle long player you can develop. I would have probably initially liked to trade Cam Jordan and see what I could get back for him, but kind of looking at what you just said about MYT and trying to play, that first season, go for it and see if you can get a Simbardi early. I think that's maybe what your plan was in moving Davenport. You probably can't keep Davenport if you keep Cam Jordan, and Cam Jordan gives you your best chance to win this season. And I think that was a good move. I like that. Starting off 1-0, obviously that's the best start you can hope for, considering everybody else in your division already has a loss. So you're already up at the top. I like the move. I think New Orleans, other than that quarterback position, which we've seen you do more with less, Jameis should be fine for a couple seasons till he can develop somebody. I would like to see you draft somebody and just kind of sit him there for 2 seasons and let him build up his XP while Jameis goes out there and does good enough. But anything you want to say about your team?
Yeah, we're gonna figure out the quarterback spot as we go. Hit the nail on the head. Couldn't keep Davenport and Cam Jordan just with the salary cap situation. I didn't like the feelers I was getting for Cam Jordan, so I wanted to take the value there for Marcus Davenport. I'm hoping I can develop Peyton Turner, who the Saints spent a first-round pick on in last year's draft. Definitely a bust, but I'm going to try to change that at defensive end, so I felt like I had an extra guy there. And since I didn't feel like I could keep Davenport and Cam, I had to move one, and I thought I got more value for Davenport than Cam. So that's what that move was about. And yeah, hopefully we can get some more wins.
All right, so that's going to move us on to the 2-0 Colts.
Yeah, impressed with Prime's win over Faz yesterday. I wasn't able to catch it, but looking at the box score, hearing about it, impressed by what I saw. Um, Obviously, I don't know, I really like his moves so far. Tanner Muse, got him in the free agent draft. That gives him a user linebacker for the cycle. He traded for Baker Mayfield, so we got off of Matt Ryan and his 85 throw power. Tried to sell him off on me. Try Prime. Um, but really for nothing. He was going to move Okariki anyway, probably let him walk maybe at the end of the year. I don't know that he was ever going to give him any kind of extension in a second round pick, which Prime definitely does not expect to be a pick of any value, probably late second round. So to get a quarterback for at least the first half of the cycle and maybe beyond that is a great move, especially with how the quarterback outlook is across the league. So I think he did a good job there as always. And Gilmore for a first and a fifth. I'm kind of torn on it for him because Gilmore's a nice win now piece, and I think I'm always in contention to win now. But getting value for a veteran corner while you can and building your draft stock on a Colts roster that definitely has some holes isn't the worst idea. So I think I like it unless he comes close in the playoffs or something, and I feel like Gilmore would have changed that. But for now, I'm liking what I'm seeing, and that dominant win over Fads definitely has him off to a hot start this cycle.
Yeah, tough to argue with the 2-0 start after that big win against Faz. But I'm kind of with you. The Gilmore trade, I kind of go back and forth with whether I like it because it would be a nice piece to have there. I mean, you just saw that he blew out Faz, so right now he's got to feel like he has the upper hand in the AFC as a whole probably, and Gilmore would be a nice piece to make that early cycle run, and it would be a shame if that comes back to bite him. And it's not like I think that Bean's pick is going to be very high either, so it's not like he got a good first. All right, so that's going to move us on to Atlanta, and that's Dump. Dump sitting at 1-1. He's made some trades. He traded Ridley. I think Dump's going to be okay. I don't. He's riding with Ritter, and I think Ritter's going to be um, like most quarterbacks in the game this year that aren't superstar or X factor. They're going to have their ups and downs, and they're going to be frustrating. And like you saw with a few teams early in the season here, those interception numbers can really start to snowball in a game when you get behind. And I think he's going to have a couple games like that with Ritter, but I think he's building a decent team there. I didn't like getting Quinn. I think he's a little older, and I don't know if Dump's ready to compete yet with that rookie quarterback. But I think the team's going to be all right. Dump generally pretty good on offense. It may take him a little bit to get used to this game, but he's in a division with you, Monty, and Clink. That's going to be a tough division, and I don't know if maybe he thinks winning now is the option, picking up Quinn, but I think I would start building for the future.
Yeah, Ritter ran for like a gajillion yards against me.
Yeah.
Definitely missed some throws though that really gave me the game. Really turned it. He threw two pick sixes and then also a pick in the red zone. So not a good showing from him through the air, but he was dynamic with his legs. I think I looked at the roster before we played and it's pretty stacked. Honestly, I was really impressed by the love Madden gave the Falcons. They have a lot of really developable pieces. So
Oh
I think
yeah.
if he's patient and takes his time with Ritter, the results will be good down the line.
Yeah, his front four needs some work. He's got Grady Jarrett. He added Quinn, but Quinn's like 464 years old, so he's probably done, this season or next. So he's going to still have to address that issue. But I think he'll be all right. He's got young pieces on offense with Pitts, Drake London, and Ritter. So we'll see what he does there. But that's 2 minutes on him. All right, so next up is Faz and the Jaguars.
Yeah, coming off a tough loss, kind of counteracting my points with Prime on that,
Yeah.
but no reason to worry if you're in Jacksonville. It broke like a 30-something game win streak, I think Faz said yesterday. So bound to lose one eventually. You're going to be right in the thick of things at the end of the year. Picked up Landon Collins in the free agent draft. 92 hit power, always nice. As Faz will say, my ball, give him the ball. If Landon Collins hit sticks you. Trades for Claypool. I love that move. Gives him a dynamic weapon on the outside, probably for the cycle. Sent a future first for Dexter Lawrence. I love that move as well. I always think D line is probably the hardest position
Yeah.
to draft well and develop. So if you can get a young stud like Dexter Lawrence early on in the cycle, I'm for it. Faz surely doesn't think his first round pick is going to be anything of value, especially since he didn't send out this year. So the team will be even more developed next year. So coming off a tough loss, I still expect him to be right in the thick of things at the end of the year. And so far, I've liked what he's done team building wise and with his moves. So um, yeah, excited to see what he does and see if he can build off his success from last cycle.
Yeah, I like the Lawrence trade. I tend to side with you with the defensive line is probably the hardest for me to either find or to develop. You have to kind of come in there with decent defensive line or trade for it. And I think guys like Dexter Lawrence, Davenport, they don't come around very often where they're available. So if you can get one of those in a deal, especially if Faz sends his first, which is going to be at the end of the round anyway, you're not going to find a Dexter Lawrence in there. So I think that's a great trade for him, especially the way defense is playing, pass rush is playing. I think it's big to have those kind of guys, and I think he'll figure out the passing game. 7 interceptions is a hell of a motivator to learn it. All right.
Definitely.
So that's going to bring us to our next one, Monty in Carolina. Oh, this is probably the first one that I just hate the move. So he traded Baker, and I think it was a second and Okereke,
Yep.
and it's prime second. So the only hole he really had was quarterback, and you filled that. So that second, you might as well call it a third. And Okereke, I suppose Carolina could use a linebacker, and Okereke not bad at all. But it's more about if he would have just waited. You look at teams right now that are just getting hammered because their quarterback play is awful. Gouda gave up a first or tried to give up a first for Tannehill. Paulie's going to need a quarterback. He may be okay with sitting there, but he's going to need something. You got yourself. You have Tampa Bay is going to need a quarterback after a year. Green Bay now may need one after a year. Philadelphia, you don't know what Woods is going to do with his quarterback. He's the only one he's ever kept was Josh Allen. And that's just the NFC teams and just a quick look. Tons of teams are going to need quarterbacks, and he just got so, I guess, caught up in that he had money in his pocket, and he just couldn't wait to spend it. And he just, before the season even started, he already moved Baker Mayfield. Just let guys find out that they need a good quarterback, and then you have somebody like Coop, who's got Geno Smith and cuts Derek Locke. Go with those guys. Give them a call. Find out what they'll send you after they've played with their guys and are disappointed. But I think that was the biggest mistake so far was getting rid of Baker Mayfield before letting anybody get disenfranchised with their quarterback.
Yeah, he actually did reach out to me in the division to see if I was interested in Baker Mayfield, and I was a quick no. I couldn't afford him. I know he has to
Yeah.
get paid after the season, so I wonder if maybe that would turn some teams away. I'm not sure what all the teams' cap situations are, but yeah, I agree. The need for quarterback is becoming more and more clear, and he
All
would have
right.
been able to
That's
get
two
more value, I
minutes.
think. Now.
So we're moving on. Sometimes we get cut off. Sometimes we don't. It's luck of the draw. But we've got RD coming up next. He doesn't do too much, has he?
No, so he traded for Jonah Williams, left tackle from the Bengals for second round pick. And in the free agent draft, he had the second pick. He took corner Kalen Barnes,
Yeah.
63 overall, but he has 97 speed, so that always plays in Madden. I mean, I think RD knows what he's in for. The Texans roster is a mess. I don't think he's expecting immediate success. I think he's a good enough player that he'll be able to hang in games and hang around. But I mean, at the end of the day, their roster just isn't good enough. I like the moves he made. Jonah Williams, young left tackle. I think he's 24. That's probably about what you'd get with that second round pick anyway, and you get him a year early.
Yeah.
So I don't have a problem with that. Taking a chance on a 97 speed corner and seeing how he can develop, definitely don't hate that. Um, so yeah, any raw skills, any young talent he can get on this Texans team, he should jump after. Seems like that's what he's done. He's been hesitant to trade draft capital besides the second round pick, just showing with the lack of moves, which I think is smart. Be patient, use the young assets that you have coming in via draft picks, and develop the ones that you have in house. And don't try to rush it. Whereas NYT in this division kind of made win now moves.
Yep.
RD's kind of sitting back and acquiring young talent. So I think that's the right strategy. Fits the 0-1 start that he's off to this year. And like I said, I expect him to hang in games, but I think expectations are tempered in Houston.
Yeah, and he's a guy that talks about how he doesn't play very much before the cycle starts. So between not playing much and having the Texans, you're probably not going to win much now anyway. So might as well sit on those picks, and then try to build the team for later when you're more comfortable. Not to mention those picks become really valuable when the actual draft gets here, and then guys kind of get in love with a player and they want to move up or they want to get extra first round picks. So it's good on him to kind of hold on, be patient. It's not like those picks are going anywhere.
I agree.
And at 2 minutes, that means we're moving on to Tampa Bay. And this is one where I don't think we're going to hit the whistle because Klink, I think he pretty much showed up in time for his game. I haven't really seen him make any moves. I know he was on his honeymoon and just came back, played his game with Grams, got beat. I think Tampa Bay is going to be a fun team for him with that defense. But with the way offense is playing and Brady's going to retire probably season 1 or 2, he's going to have to find a quarterback, especially, like I said, with the way this offense is playing. It's kind of a recurring theme that the quarterback position is almost twice, maybe more important than last season, where you could kind of trot somebody out there that wasn't quite as good. Now you have the superstars and X factors, and everybody else seems to have issues. So we'll see what he does with offense. But that defense with Devin White is going to be set for him. You have a solid secondary, solid defensive line, and then linebackers. I don't think there's much more he even has to worry about doing with the defense. It's just build up that offense.
Yeah, the team's pretty built. It's set up for immediate success. I don't know if we'll see that right away because, as you said, I mean, he was getting married, had a honeymoon. Very reasonable reasons to not have played this game. So
Yeah.
there might be a bit of a learning curve early in the year, but that team's really talented, and I expect to see big things from him.
All right. So then we'll move on. And the next one is the Jets.
Yeah, Jets, Jets. You need you in the survivor pool this week. You traded a second and a third round pick for Jordan Fuller, who I noticed is an Ohio State alum.
Oh, is he?
And
That's weird.
wow, yeah, I was shocked to find that out.
Yeah.
But kind of fits a need too. Jets could use a guy like him, and I think I don't know. Are you using him as a sub linebacker?
I'm actually not. I'm using him in the safety position for now. I have Jordan
Okay.
Whitehead, who's like an 85 speed, and I might
Yep.
slide him into the user linebacker. But right now I have what is it, Lamarcus Joyner.
Yep. So you traded 2 picks that I don't expect to be too high, and for a guy who you have a bias towards liking, and it kind of fills the team needs. So I'm good with that pick. You took Kaliki Hudson in the free agent draft, a quick linebacker. Any help you could get on that young defense, I think you'll take. And as I said, young is the key word with the Jets. It's just going to be develop. You're 1-0. You're in a very winnable division, so I expect you to be in the playoffs right away. And that team's only going to get better as the cycle goes, and you're just going to learn the game more and more too. So I think it's going to be pretty all uphill for you. There's going to be some immediate success and probably even more success as the cycle goes on.
Yeah, so I'm excited because this team is very young. Defensive line, outside of Lawson, who's 27, I think. The rest of the team is 25 or younger, with who is it? Franklin Myers being 25, Quinn Williams 24, Bryce Huff 24, and then Jermaine Johnson 23. Secondary all 23 or 24 and younger, except for Reed. I think he's 25, and then linebacker was the big need. So getting Hudson, getting Fuller, that's going to help. But I think I still going to have to beef up that linebacking group. It's pretty sad. All right, that's going to be 2 minutes. And now we're going to move on to the Cowboys and Grams. And I haven't seen Grams really make too many moves either. I don't know if he maybe wasn't even expecting to get the Cowboys. So he gets them, maybe had no plan right away. Usually we see him move Van Der Esch. I know he's had Van Der Esch on the block. I inquired about Van Der Esch, and the price was just a little more than I wanted to pay. He comes out and he wins a game against Klink, and it appears that Madden 23 may kind of cater to him with the improved user. Everybody said that Grams went downhill when user linebackers went down. Well, now they're coming back, and we'll see if Grams can do anything. But he is off to a 1-0 start with a win over the Buccaneers, so that's something. And we'll see if it continues. Right now, Woods is 2-0 in the division, but Tiny and Doink are both winless at 0-2 and 0-1 respectively. So I think Graham's on the right track. We'll see what he does there. One of the things I didn't like with Dallas is you're kind of stuck with Dak, and I didn't feel like he was that good of a quarterback this year. Um, but I mean, it's a Cowboy, and maybe Graham's likes him, so we'll see what he does there. But so far, hasn't really done much to talk about.
I don't have too much to add, so I'm just gonna let that one run out.
All right, and that'll save us 40 seconds there, and we're gonna move on to the Miami Dolphins and Finn's 2-0 team.
Yeah, the Dolphins 2-0, off to a hot start. I think Finns is one of those guys that people felt could make a jump this cycle. So we'll see if those early results translate as we move forward. He signed Josh Johnson in the free agent draft, which at first is a head scratching move, but is that mentor role,
Yep.
which gets you extra XP in training. So that's going to help him develop Tua and try to make him into a cycle long option at quarterback, even though he's flirted with having him on the block. Um, I imagine that'll come down to A, what the market is for quarterbacks, if it's just absurd in the offseason,
Yeah.
and B, how he performs this year.
Yep.
And he traded a defensive lineman, Christian Wilkins, to Dan in the 49ers for Travarius Ward, who's like an 80 overall corner and a second round pick. I don't hate the move. Dolphins have pretty good corners, but I think Wilkins might be an expiring contract and getting some draft capital. And I mean, those players basically even themselves out, just different
Yeah.
positionally. So, um, yeah, I don't hate what he's done. He's played well to start the year. He looks ready, and hopefully he can make that jump that people are kind of expecting from him.
Yeah, and I think the Ward move was actually kind of underrated. Everybody, like you said, they're Wilkins and Ward kind of a wash, one for the other, just different positions. But Ward is actually one of the higher press ratings, and man press has been really good this year. So I think Finn's may have been targeting that press rating, and I think he's got. I think it was Bean told me he's got like 3 of the top 5 guys in press, or 3 of the top 10, something like that. So I think there may have been a little bit to that Ward move that he was specifically targeting him in that press rating, but we'll see. All right, so that's going to move us now to Woods and the Eagles. Woods off to a 2-0 start. He had a really strong showing in the preseason tournament as well. So I think Woods is looking pretty good. I just don't know. I don't know if he's going to be happy with Hurts, and I think that's going to kind of determine how Woods does is how happy he is with him. But he's got, I mean, a loaded receiver room. He's got Jordan Davis on the defensive line, which we talked about, defensive lineman, and you can't really dev him. This guy's already a superstar defensive tackle. He's going to be an absolute monster. And then he picks up Gardner Johnson from the Saints right before the cycle starts. He gets that trade that the Eagles made and lucks into that one. So I think Woods is off to a good start. He got his team got a little bump right before the cycle started, which helped out, and I think he's in a very winnable division.
I agree. Winnable division, really good roster, really good performance, as you said in the preseason bracket. Jalen Hurts, we'll see if he likes him or not, but as has been a common theme in this episode, a lot of teams need quarterbacks. So if he does not like Jalen Hurts, he should not have an issue finding someone to take a chance
Yeah.
on him.
And one thing I'll say is I don't think throw power. I think the defense plays really nice on the deep balls right now. So throw power is nice to have because maybe it gets there a little quicker. But I think it doesn't get there quick enough to where it's reliable. And I think a lot of guys are taking the shorter underneath routes. And so I think a guy like Hurts with 84 or what is it, 87 throw, I don't even remember what it is. It's in the 80s, mid 80s. I think it's actually probably not as bad this year because you're probably not taking as many chances down the field.
You know how I feel about throw power. So
Yeah, he's your kind of guy. All right, so let's move on to DW and the Bills.
yeah, sort of a quiet early cycle for DW. He's got off to a 1-0 start. The Bills are loaded. Probably, I mean, them and the Chargers, I think, were widely regarded as like the top 2 teams for the cycle. So obviously, like honestly, just not a lot of holes to fill. He took Arcega Whiteside.
Yeah,
Um, I don't know. I thought maybe going linebacker in the free agent draft. Could have been a better look, but nonetheless, that roster stacked. He's going to be right in the thick of things, and he has an advantage over you and Fig in the roster to start, which will help. And I mean, Finn's too, outside of the two deep threat receivers. The Dolphins have some
Yeah.
pieces, but the Bills are far and away the best roster in this division, and I don't think he needs to do too much to it. Keep it as it is, win some games, and kind of learn your way through the game. We're all getting used to this new Madden, and once he figures out how to use Josh Allen like all the time, and that's just going to come as the seasons go. You kind of, at least me, I get more and more comfortable with my quarterback the more I play with them, and things just open up, and I think that'll continue to happen. And Josh Allen's arguably the best quarterback in the game, at least top five. So um, I don't know. He could have a really good cycle with that team with the talent that he has, and he didn't really have to make a lot of moves. So let's see if he can build off that 1-0 start and make some noise in the AFC.
Yeah, I think there's some teams that are more of a the best move you can make is not making a move and screwing something up.
Right.
And I think Buffalo definitely falls into that category. Um, I would have probably liked to see him pick up a safety though. Between Poyer and Hyde, those are two older guys that are going to be needing new deals if you're going to keep them. And where he was picking, he could have probably got somebody decent. But Arcega Whiteside is somewhat overlooked. He's an 89 speed tight end, so DW does like those. But that's going to be 2 minutes there, and that's going to move us on to the Giants and Tiny. And those Giants no longer have Saquon Barkley. And I did not like this move for Tiny. I just feel like Saquon Barkley is, one dev game away from being a superstar again. He's already got all the high ratings. He's going to start 85 overall already, or higher than 85, so he gets some of the good abilities. I know he got Elijah Mitchell back, and I'm trying to remember. Oh, Dre Greenlaw, and I think he got a pick too. I just, man, you gave up probably your best player to get another running back who was probably the best part of that deal, and then a guy that was a linebacker that you could have found similar in free agency, and a Dan pick that, well, Dan's 2-0 now, so it tells you how that pick's going to be, and you gave him Saquon Barkley. I just would have liked to see him, if you're going to trade Barkley, maybe improve somewhere else, and then get a decent running back that you can develop in return, not somebody that's almost just as good. You just basically downgraded to pick up Greenlaw and a pick. I didn't like that trade, and now he's 0-2 and throwing picks all over the place. It would be nice if we could have like a Saquon Barkley type running back to kind of lean on.
I don't hate the trade at face value. I actually think he got a decent amount of value for Saquon Barkley. The tough part about the trade is that it was with Dan, who's definitely going to make it look bad
Yeah.
by deving Saquon, getting him to superstar, probably X Factor, getting those abilities, and making that pick almost useless. So I think if he got similar value with some other players in the league, we would look at it a bit differently. But the fact that it was to Dan has a lot of people scratching their heads. So, I mean, we'll just give it time and see how it works out. But I agree with you.
Yeah, I mean, I would have even, as much as I'd hate to see it go in my division, what if he would have traded Saquon to Finns for a first and he throws in Mostert or something like that? I mean, that immediately looks like a better trade to me, but that's going to be our 2 minutes there. And that means we're going to move on to the Patriots and Fig.
Big one-on-one start. Won't trade me Mac Jones. That's fine. In the free agent draft, he took Grant Haley, a corner, which at first you're kind of like, it's a weird pick. I think he's like 74 overall and like 26. So it's not necessarily groundbreaking, but one thing I did like when I looked at him, he had 95 change of direction. I don't know if that's what Fig was targeting, but that's absurdly high, really elite number at that attribute. So it could work out, and he made another move to kind of bolster the secondary. Got Mike Hilton from the Bengals, and a move that I already highlighted earlier. They swapped fourths and swapped Jacoby Myers and Mike Hilton.
Yep.
It's a veteran corner who can probably play in the slot and do a pretty fine job there. So short up a weakness. The problem is the Patriots have a lot of weaknesses. It's going to be a while. They went 32nd for a reason. Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say other than he needs to. It looks like he's put up some decent numbers with Mac. if he can develop Mac and like find a way to use them, I know a lot of guys don't like the low throw power, but it'd really help him build this team throughout the rest of the cycle if he didn't have to worry about finding a quarterback because
Yep.
they just have a lot of holes and they need a lot of help in a lot of places. So
Yeah,
that's my early take on Fig.
and if you're gonna trade him, then trade him and get something decent for him. Like I'm sure he could get a first from Mac Jones from somebody out there.
Like Marcus Davenport or
Yeah,
something like that.
exactly.
But
Um,
all right.
but I think Fig's best move is to just make not many moves. He tends to sabotage his team the more moves he makes, and so far he hasn't done that. So we'll see if that trend kind of continues. I think the closer we get to the draft, the less likely he is to come off that first round draft pick. So that's already a step in the right direction. All right. So that's going to bring us to our last team in the NFC East, Doink, and the Washington Commanders. And I absolutely hated his move. Now, he made a move. He traded Diami Brown to the Packers, and that's already worked out really well for Biz because he's the one that fumbled on that end around. However, the move that I really don't like is the one he traded Deron Payne. And he traded him to Coop. I think he got a first from him, maybe a first and a second, something like that, which is a nice return for him. But we've talked about it multiple times already. Defensive line is tough to develop, tough to find good players, and Deron Payne is one of the top defensive tackles. On top of that, to me, the Commanders, that's their team right there, right? You got Montez Sweat, you've got Jonathan Allen, Deron Payne, and then Chase Young. That's the whole reason you take that Commanders team is because that front four is going to get tons of pressure. They're going to stop the run. They're just going to dominate every game. And the first thing you did is you took one of those guys and you got rid of them. And now, I mean, you still have a very good line, but you had a dominant line that was the best in the game, no question. And you ripped that apart. To me, you don't take your strength and destroy your strength to become more balanced, give yourself more for the future. I don't know what he was thinking there, whether it's maybe to get a quarterback because he doesn't like Sam Howell. But to me, if you have an absolute stud defensive line, the last thing you do is take away from it and make yourself less dominant there. So I didn't like that move for him.
I agree. I just want to point out, I don't think it's Coop's first. I think it's QB's first
Oh,
that they
okay,
got in
QB's
the
first.
Russell Wilson trade.
So even worse.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of tearing apart your most dominant part of your team. All right, so that's going to move us to AFC West and those Denver Broncos.
Yeah, I have one note on QB here. I mean, he signed Matt Ariza in the free agent draft, and questionable acquisition for the locker room in Denver, to say the least, from personality standpoint. But I don't know. That's a tough team. That Russell Wilson extension right before we had the team draft,
Yeah.
I think tanked them. I think they would have gone a lot earlier if that didn't kick in. But now that it did kick in, they have a lot of bad contracts to a lot of veterans who are not going to age well in a video game. It'll be interesting to see what he does. I think this is a very winnable division for QB, so I would expect him to have some early success with those veterans on those contracts. But I think it's going to be a really difficult team to build as the cycle progresses. He's off to a 1-0 start, so hopefully he can maintain that, and early cycle success will take away any worries about later down the line. But going to be an interesting build, and he brought in, again, Matt Araiza, questionable decision. But yeah, I don't have too much more to say.
Yeah, I didn't like the Ariza signing. I could care less about the morals of it, but I heard somebody say, "Oh well, 97 kick power, he can reach the end zone." Into the wind, you're not reaching the end zone anyway. It doesn't matter. Those kicks are being returned. I had Justin Tucker, and he still wasn't reaching the end zone. So I think he's going to have a problem there. You could have added plenty more things there, and instead you added a punter. And then I've tried to trade with him, and I've asked about certain guys, and I've just laughed when he's told me what he wants for him. So he's going to have to either find a new blunt burner and get his deal of a century, or he's going to be stuck with, like you said, some really bad contracts, and it's going to make it tough to develop that team. And that's going to be our 2 minutes on that team. And then we're going to go to the 49ers and 2-0 Dan. Dan's had some close games, and he's managed to pull them both out. He beat he beat Biz the first week, and then he beat Coop in overtime on the backs of Saquon Barkley running in, having a huge overtime. He's made some moves. Like we said, he brought in what was it? I can't even think of who he brought in now. Well, he brought in Barkley. Oh, and then he traded away Greenlaw and Elijah Mitchell. He's made a
Yeah,
bunch of
Christian
trades.
Wilkins.
That's right. Christian Wilkins is the one I was thinking of. I like the Christian Wilkins addition, putting him on the line there with Armstead, Bosa. I think that kind of the opposite of what I didn't like about Doink's move, where he's taking apart his defensive line. Dan's adding to it and trying to make it better. Obviously Christian Wilkins is not Deron Payne or a dominant player at all, but the way pass rush and defense are playing, I think that's the move, is to build up your defensive line, because you can take away the pass game and the run game with just the defensive line this year. So I like his moves. I like getting Saquon Barkley, like I said, Elijah Mitchell, Dre Greenlaw, which is just a throw in for me, and then essentially a second round pick is a really good move, I think, for him, especially when we get to season 2 and he's a superstar, X Factor, whatever.
Yep, as always, high expectations for Dan. Like his moves. I think he'll be really good the whole cycle.
All right. So next up is the Chargers.
Yeah, Matt's on fire. 2-0 start. That team's loaded. I think that was my favorite team coming into the team draft. Herbert alone makes them an elite team, especially in this game. Matt always like to say he's trying to teach himself to pass. I think he's going to figure that out with Justin Herbert. He had a John Ross in the free agent draft, so add that to Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and the weapons they already have there, Eckler, all those guys. This should be a high-powered offense for the entire cycle. Their defense just as good. They have Bosa, Khalil Mack, J.C. Jackson, Derwin James. I mean, the roster is just unreal. So I expect, I don't know, Matt's 2-0. I think this is his division to lose early on, and maybe for the cycle, I'll see a little more out of. I want to see a little more out of QB, but yeah, I don't know. I don't have too many negative things to say about Matt. One of those teams where the less you do is better. Didn't do much. He just added John Ross, and I think that's a great move, great start, and I expect it to continue. I think he can be a force in the AFC.
Yeah, that team's absolutely loaded. And I actually picked him in the DW poll to win the Super Bowl season 1. Just the
I would not
team's
be
loaded.
surprised.
Matt always plays good defense. Defense has been upgraded, so it's going to play even better. And then you have literally superstars everywhere on that offense with Herbert, Eckler, Williams, and Allen. All he's got to do is pretty much score a couple points, and he's not going to let you score many. So I've got him as the favorite right now to win the AFC. No matter what he says about it, you take the Chargers, you get expectations, especially when you're a guy that's made playoffs and a Super Bowl before.
Yeah, Matt, don't waste your breath here saying, "Oh, I'm no good. I'm not going to do it." We're not going to listen to you. So
Yeah, he talks about the Big Five, but outside of the Big Five, there's only like 3 more teams that have even been to a Super Bowl. So that puts you really up in that upper echelon. But there's our 2 minutes there. So now we're going to move on to the Rams and KJ. KJ obviously made the deal of the century, getting 2 picks for Jordan Fuller. I think KJ's actually been in some games this year. I thought he was going to beat DW early, and then DW kind of pulled away at the end. I like what KJ's doing with the team. I do like that he got some more picks, and he traded away a position of depth there. He has a few other guys. Terrell Burgess is a faster safety that he can slide into that spot. I think he's younger as well. So he didn't really lose anything by losing Fuller. But he picked up some picks, which the Rams are in need of, because they're an older team and they really don't have too many of their own picks, especially season 1. But I think KJ is kind of headed in the right direction. He always does a really good job of putting his team together and not kind of tearing it apart like some other guys we see that lose a bunch of games and just destroy their rosters in the process. KJ doesn't win a ton of games, but by the end of the cycle, his team is always better than it was to start.
yeah, the Rams are a good team. He's going to be in games just based off the talent they have. I mean, they have Aaron Donald, they have Jalen Ramsey, Stafford. Like, they have good enough players on that roster where a few breaks go his way and he can win any game with that team. Um, Less is more. I mean, the Rams don't have a ton of flexibility. I don't think they have a ton of cap space. So getting those draft picks, which the real life Rams don't care about at all, always helps. But yeah, I agree. I think he's gonna not make any boneheaded decisions, and he'll do a good job building this team. That would be really hard to build throughout a cycle.
Yep. All right. So next up is the Chiefs.
Yeah, Mike got off to a hot start last week too, so he's down to 1-1. Um, Pat Mahomes is exactly the quarterback you want in this game. We talk about all these teams with no quarterbacks. We talk about new mechanics of the game, how the quarterback matters. You have Mahomes for the whole cycle. That's going to be a lot of fun. He added a safety in the free agent draft, Najee Johnson. He has 93 speed, so add some athleticism to that defense. Um, I think overall, I mean, this division is fairly wide open. The Chiefs are good enough to keep Mike in it. He'll have to limit his turnovers, which I think Mahomes has a lot of them early on in this season. I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think I looked earlier.
I know he had
So he's gonna
one
have to
seven
limit
interception
those.
game.
Yeah, okay. I think he has 10 picks through 2 games.
Yeah, that
So
sounds right.
um, gotta get those down if you're gonna compete. But you have the guy to do it. So once you get used to the game and play a little bit more, Mahomes should unlock a lot of things offensively. So develop the young receivers like Sky Moore, Cole Hardman. No more Tyreek Hill on the team. But Chiefs are pretty set up just based off Patrick Mahomes alone. So I'm interested to see where Mike goes. I could go a number of ways, but I like the addition of Najee Johnson, the athleticism he added, and excited to see how he develops his team.
Yeah, I think they're better off on defense than maybe people think they are. They've got a lot of young players that are going to develop, and then obviously Sky Moore on offense, and Patrick Mahomes makes the offense go anyway. But with Mike being probably 8-8 or 8-9 or 9-8 team hovering right around there, he's going to have a decent first round pick that's going to help build the team, and they're already a pretty loaded team. They just don't look quite as loaded as some of the other guys like the Chargers and the Bills, but they've got a lot of pieces, and I think he'll do really well with them, especially once he gets a draft or two under his belt. Yep, and that's 2 minutes on him. And that's going to take us to Seattle and Coop. I think Coop did really well. I didn't care for the Jordan Love move, giving up what he did to get Jordan Love. I think you could have got better options out there. Jordan Love he's normal dev. He's a year older than he was last year. I think he starts at like 66 or 69 overall. Nothing stands out as being this quarterback you can develop now. Now he's just an average, normal, young quarterback. I don't think he's going to be that great. But he picked up Deron Payne, and I think that's a huge get. He added Bo Melton back, one of the guys that he wanted that he lost off his practice squad. So I think he's headed in the right direction. Like I said, I mean, he was a play away from beating Dan, and so he's not that far off with the Seahawks team. I just think he needs to hopefully use those picks that he's got. I think he still has one first round pick. So hopefully he can use it and find a quarterback. I don't think Jordan Love's the answer, and I hate that he made that trade for him when there were other guys out there. But I think I would have almost rather traded for Trubisky from Colt than Jordan Love for a second. I think you could have got a better deal for what's essentially going to be a 1 year guy anyway, I think. But I think he's got it going in the right direction.
I think Love at least gives you someone that you can like point to and say, I have this guy. It's him in less of a situation where he has to take quarterback
That's
year
true.
one in the draft. He could say, I'm giving Jordan Love another year. So it gives him a few more options, more flexibility. They're by far the worst quarterback room to start out with.
Yeah.
So he had to do something. He did it. I love the Deron Payne trade too. And Coop's going to build that team. That's going to be a nice roster by the end.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so next up is going to be the Raiders and two-step.
I believe this is the last AFC team
It is.
that we're going to go over. I think we're going to talk about the Cardinals last and the NFC next. So get it out of the way now. I'm going to talk about the Josh Jacobs trade made between the Raiders and the Cardinals. I really liked it for two-step. I really liked it. He got 2 second-round picks and Javelin Guidry from Cardinals. That gives him speed at corner. I know his other attributes may not mean much, but anytime you can add a guy with, I think he has 97 speed, 96, something like that.
Yeah.
Add that kind of speed in your secondary, you should do it. Getting 2 seconds gives you draft capital. I had Jacobs last cycle. and he was pretty good for me. So this isn't really a knock on Jacobs, but he's a year older, and I don't know how much of a game changer he's going to be throughout the cycle. And I think Two Step now has more than enough. He got more than enough assets back to make up for trading them, and I think he was starting the rookie anyway because you're white. So I thought that was a really good trade for him. He took Kendall Sheffield, who I think's a receiver in the free agent draft.
He's
I'm kind
a
of mad on
corner.
that one. Corner.
He's a
Okay.
Buckeye.
Yeah. Gotcha. Sorry, I didn't mean to say meh, but he's kind of meh to me. But he got Guidry, so I don't think it really matters. I think they traded Trayvon Mullen in real life, like right before he started, so that kind of hurt their
Yeah.
secondary. The Raiders are kind of a fun build. They're kind of win now. They have some speed on defense, so can be a fun team to play as, and you can always chuck it up to Devontae Adams. I don't know that he's going to compete for this division, but um, see where he goes. I really liked the Jacobs trade for him.
Yeah, I think that'll work out for him. Hopefully, if he can develop that guy. Um, but I do think I like the way some of the better running backs play this year. So if that's the case, Jacobs could be a big loss for him. But it sounds like the new guy's doing pretty well. So that's 2 minutes for him. So our last team is going to be the Cardinals and QP. Obviously, not a good showing his first game, loses to Mike. But he really made his noise in the trades. He moved J.J. Watt and picked up 2 second-round picks for him, which for a 33-year-old guy that's pretty much injured all the time, that's a good move. And he got it from Colt. We just talked about the Jacobs trade, and then the other one was with Biz, and I thought he won this one by a mile. He gives up Marquise Brown and his first round pick, and gets Darnell Mooney, who's a little slower than Marquise Brown, but really he's like a younger, by a year, uh, a younger version of Marquise Brown that's a little bit slower. I don't think there's a huge jump from Mooney to Brown. And then all he gives up is his first round pick, which is likely to be a late first for Roquan Smith, who's a 25-year-old stud. Um, I think he won that trade by a mile, and if it cost him a game in the beginning, or he loses the game in the beginning, I don't think he even cares about that loss because he won that trade by so much. I think he's going to have a good cycle. I think the division, Dan's already 2-0. QP's got 1 loss, but it's early and they haven't played each other yet, so I don't think much of the standings matter yet. QP's going to figure it out, and I think he's just going to take a little bit of time to adjust to not having escape artists. I mean, you had a whole cycle playing a certain way, and it's going to be different now. But with the trades he's made, I think that team's poised to have a really good cycle.
Yeah, I love the Roquan Smith trade. I like the Jacobs trade for him too. I mean, I like it for both sides. I think he gave up a little much, but he's going to help him. And yeah, getting rid of Watt for draft capital is great. I really liked his moves, and yeah, he'll bounce back. Not worried here.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So with 5 seconds to spare, that's going to do it for 2-minute drill. And we made it just over an hour, which is pretty good considering 32 teams. Should have been 64 minutes, and we're coming in right at about 63 minutes, even with my extra talking. So this has been 2-minute drill. Dmues, you want to sign us off?
Yeah, hope you guys liked it. Hopefully everyone's running an effective 2-minute drill in Madden and with their team. And yeah, I mean, we'll be back at some point. I don't know if we've talked about that much yet of what this is going to be, but hope you guys enjoyed this, and